My name is Kuldeep Ghosh. I discuss about the mechanism of hormone action today. What is hormone? The hormone is biochemical substances that is secreted by endocrine glands in our body and transport through directly in the through bloodstream and act in distant tissue or target tissue. Next, come to the point, the cellular mechanism of hormone action. The hormone receptors are two types. One is located in the plasma membrane, that is called the membrane receptor or extracellular receptor, and another is located in the intracellular compartment of the target cell, that is either cytoplasmic receptor or nuclear receptor. The hormones are two types: water soluble hormone, that is peptide hormone, and lipid soluble hormone, that is steroid hormone. So first come into the water soluble hormone or peptide hormone. The peptide hormone have a high molecular weight and cannot diffuse across the plasma membrane. So it can bind with the membrane bound receptor, and only action is generated through this receptor. Next is the lipid soluble hormone, that is steroid hormone. It easily diffuse across the plasma membrane and bind to either cytoplasmic receptor or nuclear receptors. The fat soluble hormone directly diffuse through the plasma membrane and enters into the cytoplasm, bind with cytoplasmic receptor, or it again pass through the nuclear pore complex and enter into the nucleus and bound with the nuclear receptor. Then the peptide hormone bound with the plasma membrane receptor or membrane bound receptor or extracellular receptor, and after binding with receptor, receptor is activated. Activated receptor in turn activate the effector molecule, and this effector molecule activate several second messenger. This second messenger is different from the primary messenger. Primary messenger is the hormone itself, and second messenger is the messenger which generated by effector molecule. And this second messenger again uh, activate the protein kinase A or protein kinase C. This protein kinase A or C activate several proteins and generate the cellular responses. Water soluble hormone mechanism or peptide hormone mechanism, there are two steps. In the first step, the first messenger or hormone bound with the extracellular receptor, and after activation of the receptor, this receptor activate the effector molecule, and effector molecule generate several second messenger molecule. That is the second step. In the second step, the second messenger molecule, this is either calcium or CMP, cyclic adenosine monophosphate, CGMP, cyclic guanosine monophosphate, activates several protein kinases. This is the mechanism of non-steroid hormone receptor. When the non-steroid hormone or peptide hormone bound with GPCR molecule, that is one kind of peptide hormone receptor, the GPCR get activated. G protein coupled receptor activate its associated G protein, that is guanine nucleotide binding protein. When the G protein bound with GDP is inactivated, and when it bound with GTP is activated. This GTP bound G protein activate effector molecule, that is adenylyl cyclase. This effector molecule again synthesis the second messenger, that is cyclic adenosine monophosphate CMP from ATP molecule, and after producing CMP, CMP activates the protein kinase A. This protein kinase A activates several specific enzymes, and these enzymes produce several products. The another mechanism of GPCR functioning starts when the signal molecule or hormone bound with the GPCR, and GPCR activates its associated G protein. This activated G protein activates the effector molecule, that is phospholipase C. The activated phospholipase C again activate PIP2, that is phosphatidyl inositol 4,5 biphosphate. Activated PIP2 break down into two compounds. One is membrane-bound diacylglycerol DAG, and another is cytoplasmic free molecule, that is inositol 1,4,5 triphosphate IP3. This IP3 activate the calcium channel of the endoplasmic reticulum, and after opening the calcium channel, the calcium is released from the ER from the into the cytoplasm. After releasing the calcium is bound with the PKC, that is protein kinase C. After activation of the protein kinase C, it bound with the diacylglycerol, that is DAG, and DAG PKC complex again activate the several proteins of the cells and generate the cellular responses. This is one example of GPCR, that is glucagon receptor. When glucagon is bind with a glucagon receptor, the receptor activated, and activated receptor progress in the previous manner and activate the PK. The activated PK then activate the CREB or Cray binding protein. This CREB protein bind with the Cray region of the DNA and activates its transcription. In another pathway, the activated pKa phosphorylate the phosphorylase kinase and activate it. The activated phosphorylase kinase enzyme again phosphorylase the glycogen phosphorylase and activate this enzyme. Activated glycogen phosphorylase again activate the glycogen and break down into glucose. Then the blood glucose level is increased. The another peptide hormone receptor is RTK or receptor tyrosine kinase. After binding with the hormone, the receptor tyrosine kinase is dimerized. The formation of a dimer is possible by the autophosphorylation of the tyrosine residue of the RTK. These phosphorylated tyrosine residues are dimerized the receptor, and after dimerization, the adapter protein, that is SOS, is activated. Activated SOS activate GNRP, and activated GNRP again activate RAS molecule. The inactive RAS molecule bound with GTP and active RAS molecule bound with GTP. The GTP bound RAS molecule again activate the RAF molecule. Activated RAF molecule activate the MEK, and activated MEK activate ERK, and activated ERK bound with the MITF transcription factor and activate it, and the transcription is possible. This come in the second point, that is a lipid soluble hormone mechanism or steroid hormone mechanism. The several steroid hormones such as testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, glucocorticoid, mineralocorticoid, thyroid hormone, vitamin D, retinoid is act via the intracellular receptor, that is either cytoplasmic receptor or nuclear receptor. This steroid hormone diffuse across the plasma membrane and bind with the cytoplasmic or nuclear receptor. And this hormone receptor complex bind with the hormone responsive element, that is HRE element of the DNA, and activate the DNA transcription and translation. After release into the bloodstream, the steroid hormone is carried by plasma protein carrier molecule, and after released into the target cell, they diffuse through the plasma membrane and bind with either the cytoplasmic receptor or enter into the nucleus and bind with the nuclear receptor. This hormone receptor complex is again activate the HRE or hormone responsive element. This activated region then activate the transcription factor and transcription process started. And after transcription, mRNA is produced, and mRNA is again translated into the protein, and this protein generates cellular responses. The one example of intracellular receptor or steroid hormone receptor is estrogen receptor, that is nuclear receptor. When estrogen is not present, the nuclear receptor bound with the heat shock protein of the cytoplasm and form the nuclear receptor heat shock protein complex. When hormone diffuse into the cytoplasm, the estrogen bound with the nuclear receptor and heat shock protein is released from the receptor. In this way, the nuclear receptor estrogen complex is produced. This complex is dimerized and enter into the nucleus through the nuclear pore complex. After entry into the nucleus, the dimerized nuclear receptor bind with the HRE or hormone responsive element of the DNA. After binding with the hormone responsive element, this element is activated and bind with the RNA polymerase and several co-activator. After binding with the RNA polymerase, the transcription process started and mRNA is produced. This newly produced mRNA is released into the cytoplasm by nuclear pore complex, and after release into the cytoplasm, the mRNA produce protein through translation process. This protein is generate again the another cellular responses. So this is the overall mechanism of hormone action. That is two types. One is peptide hormone action that is generated through the extracellular receptor, and one is steroid hormone action that is generated through the intracellular receptor. So thank you.